Elandas Miller is an entrepreneur with a passion for business, personal finance, sports, technology, and travel. And he's with us here just now. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good as well. Now, your new ebook, first of all, what can we expect from the book?
Yeah, so my new ebook is basically teaching aspiring entrepreneurs how to start their own business. I kind of walk everybody through my 10-step process. So I'm very a methodical type person. So I like to look at things from a step-by-step type perspective. So in my ebook, I walk people through each step that I took to start my own business so they can kind of streamline the process and make it easy for them to understand to get everything started and jump into the entrepreneurial world.
Absolutely. So I take it then that you have your own business then if you're able to teach people how to start one.
Yeah, so I started a couple of businesses in 2017 is when I first started my journey as an entrepreneur. I started a real estate business, so it's like a holding company for real estate assets. And then I started a company called Kicking It Sports, which is like a sports entertainment business where we host events here in Atlanta in the States to bring people together, promote physical and social activity,
Yeah.
and we also help adults tap into their inner child.
Hmm. And what made you want to start your own business? Because I suppose it's maybe a bit of a scary thing. It's risky knowing if you're actually going to make any money compared to just getting a job that's more stable, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. So I started my career in the corporate America world. So when I graduated from school, University of Georgia, Go Dogs, I started as like a broker in the whole corporate world environment. Then I jumped to another job after that, and then I landed into another job after that. So I was just jumping from like job to job, trying to find something that fit. What I found out is that it really wasn't fulfilling to me. So like the corporate American environment didn't really
Mm.
fulfill me in a way that I thought it would. So I started playing around with some ideas in entrepreneurship. So
Yeah.
playing with those ideas, looking to ways to make some funds, trying to make new income, trying to follow my passions within business and look for ways that I can just grow as a person as well as grow my business.
Yeah. And are you
Yeah.
satisfied with where your business has ended up in terms of the financial situation and your enjoyment of what you do?
Definitely. So I think there's always room for growth.
Mm.
So I do work on my business full time, but I also have like a part-time job as well
Ooh.
within the corporate American environment still. So I'm still balancing both right now,
Mm.
but looking to definitely jump full time into my business in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
COVID kind of slowed things down with different streams of income. So most of my events for Kicking the Sports is like in person. So we took a break for the whole year of 2020 because we
Well,
couldn't host in-person events, right?
yeah.
So looking to get back into it in here in 2021. But definitely, I think I'm definitely being fulfilled. It's definitely difficult just to balance everything.
Mm.
As an entrepreneur, you have to balance like every aspect of business, so like the financials, marketing, sales,
Oh, yeah.
just operations, logistics, all that stuff. So it's been pretty fun, very big learning experience, but still not 100% satisfied just yet with the
Yeah.
financials. Still trying to hit some big numbers, but those numbers are definitely coming soon. It just takes some time.
Yeah. And I suppose there's still a bit of growth to be had, but I
Yeah.
guess you will have come quite far already. So are you pleasantly surprised by how far you've came? Did you ever think that you would get this far?
Yeah. So I think I've always had some big dreams. So I think
Mm.
when I look back from like maybe a couple years ago, I definitely am surprised about how far I've become. Like my idea started off with like five people for kicking in sports. I'm
Wow.
a real estate company. Started off with just one asset. Now working on my third one. So I'm just looking for ways to keep growing, and I'm definitely happy to how much I've grown so far in the last few years. And I think it just all about just keep going at it, keep moving forward,
Mm.
keep looking to ways to make everything better, keep looking for ways to keep the customers happy and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely been an eye-opening experience just to look back from 4 years ago where I was to see where I am today.
Yeah, I think it's really important to look back because I think
Yeah.
that most people always look forward and are wishing that they become more successful without realizing that actually they've achieved a lot already.
Yeah. So definitely, I used to write my goals down and stuff, and
Mm.
I put them on my refrigerator, and it's kind of like a eye opener just to like I keep them too. So whenever I finish whatever quarter of goals, I like to keep them down,
Yeah.
and just looking back at those sheets of paper, all the things I crossed out is definitely a good feeling to see how far I've become for sure.
Yeah. And if we take your course,
Mhm.
are we likely to become as successful as you, or perhaps even more successful? Is there a possibility to that?
Yeah, I hope more successful for sure.
Yeah.
My goal is to definitely help people reach their goals. So just to make it a lot easier. I know with me, I ran into a lot of hiccups. Thing about starting a business is like there's so much information everywhere. So like what I did with my course is basically, and also my ebook is just try to compact all of that information into one place. So you don't have to go searching 1,000 different articles or sites just to find what you're looking for. And
Yeah.
within my course, I also have like different links that you can use, some of the assets that I use as well when I did my searching for my business and stuff like that. So definitely try to make it as easy as possible. And I do hope that everyone can finish it off and become a successful entrepreneur. Though it definitely does take time,
Yeah.
just if you stick with it and keep moving forward. And I think you'll be a lot more successful than I am, hopefully. So that is definitely the goal.
Yeah, and in terms of this last year, you mentioned that you prefer to do it in person, and I've had to kind of call it off for 2020. Have you
Yeah.
thought about doing it on Zoom? Because I guess that's what every other course seems to be doing at the moment. Do you think that that's a possibility for you?
Yeah, so for my course, like everything is definitely online. So I use Teachable
Ah,
for my course. So you can access it using the link that's provided, and you can just basically enroll into it. And then I can go ahead and give you guys a code to use, so a promo code, so we can do 30% off, which will
mm,
get you guys started, and hopefully you can knock that out. So the course is definitely all online. My
yeah.
sports business, Kicking It Sports, though, we've been playing around with some online ideas, so like different types of like game nights or stuff, something like that.
Ooh,
But we really haven't um, figured out just yet because in Atlanta, Georgia, a lot of stuff is open. It's just
yeah.
depending on what it is. So we're just trying to kind of get around restrictions, trying to understand and work with be eye opening with the government, making sure we're not breaking any rules.
Yeah.
So just definitely trying to keep an eye out on that. But for the course, definitely is all online, so you don't have to worry about in-person stuff. I
Yeah.
do a couple workshops as well. That'll be online this year. So I'm doing a few 3 to 4 hour workshops where I can walk people through face to face on how to start their own business as well.
Yeah, and I suppose doing it online opens it up to every person in the world because if it
Exactly.
was in person, they would have to live within a few miles of where you're doing it, but you could have
Yeah.
someone in China doing it, the complete other side of the world.
Yeah, that's kind of why I kind of pivot my business. So
Yeah,
this is the first course I created in my ebook. I first came out with that at the end of 2020. So the online digital space is definitely a little bit new to me, but I definitely made that pivot due to not being able to do in-person events anymore. So I
yeah,
started this online digital platform for people to basically just using things that I know and trying to help people out to reach their goals. So online is definitely the way it's going. I feel like the next 10 or so years. So
yeah.
like a lot of people say, COVID kind of sped the whole online digital environment. So I think it's pretty
Yeah.
cool that I was able to make that pivot to jump into the online space.
Yeah, I think a lot of what's happened with COVID would probably happened anyway. Sooner or later, we would have
Yeah.
realised why are we spending money on offices when people can do this at home?
Yeah. So I think a lot of businesses are starting to realize that. I think for me, like assets for like living or like rent are is always usually the business's highest expenses.
Hmm.
So being able to lower those expenses and take those off of their people's balance sheets or income statements, like the cost of rent, I think will definitely help people's bottom line.
Yeah.
So I think us realizing that in the business environment that we don't have to have these big buildings or have this huge space all the time is definitely helpful for future businesses.
Yeah. So, what made you want to help other people set up their own businesses?
Yeah, so a lot of my friends were asking me like, "Hey, I saw that you have this going on. How did you start it?" So some of my friends, I would like spend like an hour or two on a phone call with them, just trying to like walk them through the business thing,
Yeah.
and then how to get started. Even like my mom asked me how to get started too. So it's just like once people start seeing you doing things, they start getting curious about it. So I just thought about how I can help people out, how I can just kind of like go back into my process and outline what I did and to start my own business and then be able to streamline that process, write some details about it, give people some like in-depth details about how I do it. Because a lot of times people don't like to provide their secrets, but
Yeah.
for me, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. I mentioned like all of the tools that I've used, all the ways I've able to like reach out to people, grow my business and things like that.
Mm.
So I just wanted to help them out and be as transparent, open as possible. And a lot of my friends asking me questions, so just giving them the opportunity to learn from that too.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I started with the ebook, and then I was like, how about I just get the ebook into a course? So then I worked with my learning developer to do that, and now you have a course and an ebook. So it's been pretty
Lovely.
exciting with the process.
Yeah. Was it quite hard to write an ebook? Because I don't know, had you written stuff before? Because I guess a book is maybe a little bit hard to write if it's your first time.
Yeah, it definitely was my first time. So I've been writing for maybe since like 2017. I've been featured a few articles, just like for my expertise for like personal finance, event management, project management, like those type of articles. But I never wrote like a full ebook before. Um, it's funny thing, like I've never been like a huge book reader until I started my entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
But I think ebook is a good way for people to get their knowledge out, and it's not as big as like a regular book. And a lot of entrepreneurs out there, they might write like some famous people write like 400-page books, 500-page books.
Yeah.
But for ebook, I like how it's kind of like more compact and it's kind of more gets to the details and the nitty gritty of everything. And there's not as much fluff.
Mm.
So I kind of took out all of the fluff, added a couple of good stories in there, and was able to just get into the nitty gritty stuff so everyone can
Yeah.
kind of get those golden nuggets as soon as possible.
Yeah, and was it quite easy to publish as well? Because I think I'm right in saying that these days with Amazon, you're actually
Yeah.
able to put your own books up quite easily.
Yeah, publishing is probably easiest step to be honest.
Wow.
You just create your site, you create your account on Kindle Publishing.
Ah,
So Amazon Kindle Publishing, you can go ahead and create an account, load your cover page, load the PDF file of your ebook, and then in like I think 2 to 3 days, you can see that your book is published on Amazon. So it's pretty easy process. That is the easiest step for sure. Writing it is
yeah.
definitely the hardest, and then giving illustrations, and then also working with like English writers. So I worked with a couple of people to help me like um, take out any errors, to do any content edits and things like that. So that was also a hard part, but publishing is definitely easy in 2021 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how far we've come. And this last year, I guess lots of people said they were going to write books. I don't know if people have, although we've had a
Yeah,
lot of offers on this show, so I guess a lot of them have.
yeah,
Publishing must just be through the roof at the moment.
yeah. Definitely, if you're stuck at home, you can't go out anywhere.
Yeah.
Only places that we was able to go to was a grocery store. So it wasn't much else to do but to write stuff down. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people did what I did also, just write there as much as they could, try to package it up
Mm.
and then be able to publish it.
Yeah. And people who read this book and take the course, what can they expect at the very least to gain from it?
Yeah, so what I'm hoping for them to definitely expect and to gain is to start their business. So be able to get their idea off the ground, be able to understand like their target customers,
Yeah.
file their business with their government, figure out different marketing strategies that they can play around with, find people on Fiverr or Upwork to help streamline their business and
Mm.
maybe find like a virtual assistant and then also hopefully like launch their business. So I'm hoping to get those 5 or 7 things out of the book. The
Yeah.
book is the 10 steps, 10 easy steps to start a business with less than $500. So
Yeah.
a lot of people probably think that you need maybe millions of dollars or thousands of dollars to start a business.
Yeah.
And truthfully, you really don't need as much. You just probably need less than $500 to get started. And then as you find sales, as you begin to get customers, you begin to grow your business and then use that money to keep growing. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping that they're able to get out of the course in the ebook.
Yeah. And is the information in the course and the ebook relevant for any kind of business, no matter what they're selling or providing?
Yeah, it's pretty foundational. So I try to make it as foundational as possible. So it doesn't really matter what type of business. It can be an online e-commerce business. It can be um, a retail business, a brick and mortar business,
Wow.
a consulting professional services type business. It doesn't really matter. Kind of keep the same foundational aspects of business, whatever type of business that you're trying to start. So I kept that in mind when starting the ebook and when creating the course. So I try to keep it as streamlined as possible, keep it as foundational as possible, keep those founding principles of business in there so people can get it started no matter what type of business they have.
Absolutely. Well, where are we able to find your ebook and the course and everything if we're interested?
Yeah, so my ebook is on Amazon.
Nice.
So you can either type my name or I can give you the link for you to add it to the show notes.
Okay.
Title is the 10 Easy Steps to Start a Business with less than $500. And then my course is the same way. Also can drop the link in the show notes for y'all to get. It is a link that is tied to my Teachable account. And the course is through Teachable. Probably take a few days to knock the course out, but hopefully it gives you a few modules, a few quizzes for you to take, a few of those external links for you to use and read up on if you have any questions about the different steps within the course. So, and then you can also find me on Instagram at Hoodie CEO. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I'm always checking my DMs and answering people's messages and things like that. And that's kind of how you can find me.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on the show today. It's been great having you on.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been great talking to you today. I really appreciate you having me today. It's been fun so far. And I look forward to keeping in contact with you guys and your listeners pretty soon.